Today I want to talk to you about Paul and what he can teach us about social distancing. You may say, well, Angela, I've read the New Testament, I've read Paul's letters, and he didn't write anything about social distancing, and he didn't, but we can learn from his life about social distancing. Paul spent a good deal of time separated or isolated from others. We know that Paul was imprisoned on several occasions in several different cities, imprisoned for quite a while in Rome. He was run out of towns because people were plotting to kill him, so he had to spend time in hiding. In Paul's ministry, he didn't spend a lot of time in one place. He moved on with an urgency to spread the gospel, to tell people what Jesus had done. And so he didn't, there were a few places that he stayed a longer time, but he usually just moved on from one church to the next, preaching the gospel. In this social distancing, or Paul's version of social distancing, which was for much of his life, we should notice that it didn't hinder his ministry at all, but it enhanced it. We can read in Philippians chapter 1, verse 12 through 14, and it says, "Now I want you to know, brothers and sisters, that what has happened to me has actually served to advance the gospel. As a result, it has become clear throughout the whole palace guard and to everyone else that I am in chains for Christ. And because of my chains, most of the brothers and sisters have become confident in the Lord and dare all the more to proclaim the gospel without fear." So because of Paul's imprisonment, it didn't diminish what he was doing. It enhanced it. People saw why Paul was in prison. People were encouraged by this, and it gave them confidence to share with others what Christ had done in their lives. So evangelism took place even when Paul was in prison. And Paul used his time in prison to constantly write to the new churches, to encourage them, to give them lessons or sound doctrine, to straighten them out if they needed that. He spent a lot of time in prayer for the churches, and he asked for prayer for himself. So he was not limited by his social distancing. We can also read in Acts chapter 6, verses 3 and 4. So this is when the disciples, the church is growing. The number of disciples are increasing, and with a greater amount of people, there's greater amount of needs that need to be taken care of. And the 12, they were like, okay, we need somebody to handle some of these things. And so they said, "Brothers and sisters, choose 7 men from among you who are known to be full of the Spirit and wisdom. We will turn this responsibility over to them, and we will give our attention to prayer and the ministry of the word." I just want to encourage you during this time, and I've said it in a few of my other devotions, is this is such a good time to take advantage of just spending time in God's Word, just really learning what God has for us in His Word. It's also a good time to just really spend time praying for people. And I would encourage you to let people know that you're praying for them. Paul, he wrote letters to the churches. He encouraged people. Sometimes he would write to specific names for people that he wanted to say something to. And so I would encourage you to let people know that you're thinking of them, that you're praying for them. Send a card, send a text, send an email. With all the social media that we have at our disposal right now, how much greater is our responsibility and our opportunity. So let's make use of our social distancing to glorify God and to bring good to his kingdom. Love y'all. Miss you. Cannot wait to see you.